Hey, what is up guys, and welcome to a comparison race between the Corvette Z06 and the Corvette C6 GT1. Worth mentioning is that the Z06 has a works upgrade, so now both cars are similar because now they are both a race car. So we'll start off with the stats, and we'll start with the C6 GT1. So the C6 GT1. First, let me explain a little bit about the name. The C6. You probably haven't seen this on a Corvette. Well, the C6 is always in. It means all C. Is pretty much the stands for Corvette, and C is the version. So the version of 6 is the ZR1. If you look at it, it's really low on the ground, quite long. If you see the Z06 in just a second, you can see it's much smaller and a bit higher. So yeah, that's pretty much where the name C6 has come from. So yeah, the stats. It has a top speed of 306 kph, does 0 to 60 in just 3.2 seconds, which is pretty fast for a GT1 car, since they frankly don't accelerate that fast. They're just built to be good through corners and go through them really fast. But this one has actually a pretty good accelerating speed, even though after 150 kilometers an hour it starts to accelerate fairly slow. Let's move on. The brakes, it brakes from 100 kph to a complete standstill in just 2.4 seconds, which is really remarkable. And it has a handling rating of just 5.55. Now, my guess why it is so low is probably because it is a stripped out muscle car with some modifications added to it. Even though after driving it for a while, I have to be honest, it is pretty good throughout corners, and it handles really great. Now we're moving on to the Z06. So this car is really just a muscle car. It has a big V8 in the front and rear-wheel drive, but after the works upgrade, it has some better stats, of course. So the top speed of the car is now 316 kilometers an hour, even though in reality it can probably hit 340 because it's really fast. Moving on, well, it's only as well just 10 kilometers an hour than the C6, but believe me, there is a huge difference between those cars when it comes to top speed, because I'll just explain it just a sec. Anyways, it does 0 to 60 in 100 kilometers in 2.8 seconds, which is really fast, and I'll explain how and why in just a bit it achieves such a big, or just I should say a low time. It breaks from 100 kilometers to a complete standstill in just 2.6 seconds, even though in reality it is much slower. It feels much slower than the C6. Reasons being is probably because it goes much faster, and I don't know, it just doesn't handle as good. I'll get to that in just a sec. It has a 6.83 rating for handling, but in reality it's much lower than that. So now the braking, well, I really feel like when I'm driving the C6, it's so easy to drive that thing. It just goes through corners flat. It just loses ground sometimes because you don't have to forget it has a huge engine in the front, and it has, I think, the best top speed of all GT1 cars, since they don't achieve 300 kilometers an hour, and this one has 306. So it is a really good one in its tree, I should say, and or its branch. So yeah, I'll just explain in a sec why the Z06 can do all this stuff so fast. Alright, so now we're moving on to some more statistics of the Z06. Unfortunately, I cannot see these stats of the C6 GT1, but I can show you why the Z06 is so fast. So it has 1,213 horsepower, which is more than a standard Bugatti Veyron, even more than a Super Sport. It has 1,346 torques, and it only weighs 1,207 kilograms. Because of these stats combined, it just becomes, it just handles like a pig. Because, well, if you have so much power and car only weighs so little, then it just becomes like a fairground ride. It's not, it's just, just for fun. And we're starting with the C6, and we're off. Alright, so like I said, this thing accelerates really fast, 155, 107, 80, 90, 200. It's really fast for GT1 car, and that's what I like. So coming to the first corner, got to the second gear I believe, and just go straight back on it. And this is a really tricky corner, by the way. You really have to make sure you don't slip out. You have to keep it in third and not in second. Alright, so here's second. Again, go to the next corner, keep it in second, go back to second, and go straight on. Full throttle, hit it, and go to fifth. And when you arrive at this one, just go to third, lightly swing it in there, and go into the second one, and just easily in second, third, doesn't really matter. A little bit of a bounce, and here a view from the outside coming to the corner. As you can see, spit of fire going in there really smoothly. When you're driving this car, especially with this steering wheel, which I didn't have by the way, it just is much smoother. So as you can see, it just flies in there. It's really remarkable. I love this car. Alright, so this one is a really tricky one as well. You just want to keep it in second, just brake really fast. This one is something that people don't know. You just have to brake for about a second, and you go through there with full throttle. Here, in this part, you can really smash it. Here we can go really fast, 250, and just go full on the brakes. Keep this one in second. I accidentally always switch it to first gear, which is not really necessary because you only need first gear when you are starting at the go there and across the line. Alright, coming to the Z06's lap, and we're off. As you can see from the speedo, we're now reading kilometers, and as you can see, this thing just flies away. It's really an epic thing. Oh no, by the way, that's miles per hour. So they're right there. I don't know. I can really calculate that, but just there, I was driving 170 miles an hour, which I think is pretty close to 300 kilometers. Again, this thing is really fast, but you gotta be really careful with the throttle because you can't really lose it in these corners and lose ground and then slide. And like here, I was just driving over the grass. It just is a pig when it comes to handling, and they're going way too wide, of course, and even this corner didn't go that smoothly. And now coming to this part, again, I can really just floor it right here. It's a really beautiful looking thing. Again, I got a really nice matte finished and really cool rims. And going right there, sliding out of the corner, going through here. I just had to brake because this thing was way too fast, and it just goes much faster when I look. If you look right here, than the C6, to be honest. And I had to brake a lot here because I didn't want to lose it. Went really careful again. This one again way too wide, of course, but I was almost losing it right there again, going over the grass accidentally and going to the one of the last corners. Again, you don't want to go here in first gear and cut off a little bit of the track right there, and going right here. I think I went here in second gear instead of third, and then at the end I still managed to change to third, almost lost it, and across the line. So I got the lap times, and I'm guessing everyone is pretty excited for those who actually watch this. Anyways, So the end result. For the C6 GT1, it managed a lap time of 2 minutes and 3 seconds. And the Z06, a whopping 1 minute and 59. It was just 4 seconds faster. Even after all that shenanigan driving, it still managed to beat its racing brother. It's definitely not the best car for a lap. You'll be better off with a Gumpert or a McLaren F1 or even MP4. But it's really good it's a really good lap time for the Z06. The thing is that it's really because why it's not good for a lap is because you gotta work for it to get a good lap time. It slides everywhere like a headless chicken, as you can see from the video. I was like driving over grass, cutting corners, which I didn't even meant to, and all that other shenanigan stuff that happened in the video. So it's like I said before, because of its combination of fast power and little weight, it is just not. It just goes through corners like a pig. So I'm guessing if the Z06 had like a better weight distribution and better suspension, or it had a little bit less torque, because 1300 in real life is probably not even possible to put 1300 torques on the ground, or I mean through the wheel. That's impossible, because yeah, it's 1300 torques is about enough to move the moon. So yeah, that's a bit insane, and you could see that from the video. And of course, if it had a little bit less power, I think it could have been even faster around a lap, because its acceleration was insanely fast. Of course, the C6, I still love that thing. It's still one of my favorite GT1 cars, and it's really just because it is so fast for a GT1 car. I still think, of course, against the Z06, it is still a better choice for lap times and races against other GT1 cars, simply because it's fast and it handles smooth. Of course, it's not as smooth as most of the other GT1 cars. GT1 cars, because one, it's American, and two, because that speed still had to come with a sacrifice. At the end of the day, I think they're both awesome cars. They're both awesome at what they do. They're both good at for their purposes. So in my view, the Z06 is a drag racer and the C6 is a race car. A tip: don't upgrade the Z06 to works, because just stick with the regular upgrades if you feel like you need a little bit more power, or just because you want it to go around corners better. You don't want to get the works, because once you've done the works, you cannot sell it. For example, I got a Bugatti Veyron. I got the works upgrade, but I don't like it. I want to go back to the regular Bugatti Veyron. I just sell the car and rebuy it. I mean, in this game, the prices don't change once you've bought it. They're just sold at the market price. But the problem with this car is that and the same with the MP4 McLaren, is that both of those cars are obtained with a race, and it's impossible to sell them, which immediately means it's impossible to get rid of the works upgrade. Anyways, thank you for watching, and have a great day. And don't forget to subscribe, leave comments, and all that. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye.